Black men were the strongest uh, group of men in this country by far on the planet. I mean, we we were the epitome of strength, respect, and at the top of the challenge chain. Okay, at the top of the challenge chain, we would never belittle or lower our standard for a thrill of any kind, for any short purpose. When I say short purpose, I mean we would not use our integrity and lower our standard to engage in small profit, quick profit. It's now we're almost at a point where we will do almost anything for the almighty dollar, as it were. It's like money seems to make us desperate. That's not who we are. We've been given a freedom through the blood and the lives of people, not unlike someone like Harriet Moore. They're forgotten civil rights activists that actually led the challenge. They basically started the NAACP. People don't know about this couple or their accolades to civil rights in the United States. They died so that black men could walk around with their pants hanging down, showing their underwear in front of my mother, everybody's mother, grandmother, and our children. Now think about that for a minute. This is the dignity that we all share, this dignity, if I can call it that. But I make a point. The lives that were lost, Malcolm, Medgar, Martin Luther, and countless others. There are a lot of people who contributed to the fact of freedom to express. And that's what it is. I guess, we take words and put them in a certain context so that it fits our desire to act. I am so dismayed. I am so perturbed. I am so disappointed in the integrity of black men in this day and age. I have seen so much disrespect and so little integrity in our black young men, especially. I'm an older man. I've learned some things through the years, and I've applied some of those things to aid me and my family. And I know a thing or two about integrity, humility, to be truthful, to have truth in you, to be able to be truthful and feel good about it. Not be truthful and then have to feel guilty because you had to tell the truth. Where we come that when we speak the truth, it's as if, oh, I got to tell the truth. That is so turned around. It's like an opposite effect of what truth should be or how it should feel when you tell it. They're talking about reparation for black people in this country. When I was a kid and I worked for a salary and I got paid just meager money. I mean, we're just above slavery. I mean, it was no money paid for your labor. But I worked, I earned it. And however little it was mine. I earned it. I was proud of what I had. I used it wisely. You know, you don't just, especially when you're not making any money, you've got to you've got to use it wisely. And I think that what has transpired in this country is that black people, and this is in reference to reparation, black people haven't proven that reparation is something that we can handle. I'd love to see reparation, but our mindset, the way that we think, the idea of what money is to us, it gives opposition. And in the context that I use opposition, I'm really talking about the government and the type of government that we may have at this point in time. Opposition don't see you as a viable candidate to receive what is truly due to you under the circumstances of slavery. We have an opportunity here, just as we had when President Barack Obama was elected president in the United States, a black man. That was an opportunity that black people let slip through their fingers. They squeezed too hard at it, and it just oozed out. Now he's gone. The 8 years that he put in the office, we didn't use it wisely. This is why you have opposition opposing giving the very thing that you are deserving. You are deserving of reparation because it's something that you earned. But your mindset doesn't show you that you've earned it. You just believe that your freedom, because of the death of all the ones who've gone before us, preaching free speech, free action, equality, all of these people that died trying to essentially give us, those who came behind them, those freedoms and those entitlements, if you will. Now, that's a hard word to use, entitlement. That's a fighting word for some of the opposition because they believe that all we want is entitlements. Entitlements are reference free stuff, and we want our entitlements because it's free stuff, and we don't want to work because we can get free stuff. We have an entitlement, and the government observes entitlement. There's no such thing as entitlement. Everything received must be earned. And when something is earned, it has the ability to make the receiver more apt to respond correctly. that kind of that language, I must say, can be a reach for some people because what is he saying? You're saying. Why would I say that it's a challenge for me to understand that it's a reach? Because I observe how we conduct ourselves in today's time and how we respond to situations in our communities and with our people, to our government, and how we allow for the inactions of our governments and our representatives to sustain that inactivity and not represent fully what needs to be represented. And it's almost as if they go daily, flying by the seat of the pants, so to speak. You go daily looking at, okay, I ain't going to do this today because that won't work today. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow. There's no new idea. It's just the old recurring idea that's being used over and over and over again. And what we have now come to be is complacent in our response, in our action, in our desires. We're not educating ourselves to the full extent of what we have freedom to do, why those who came before us lost their lives, some of them, a lot of them, in more places than we can even imagine. It is not just about South Georgia. It is not just about Alabama. It is not just about Mississippi. It is not just about Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia. It is about the United States. And every state in the Union has had these issues, have these issues. We are still responding the same way in reference to these issues. You have to know that when you look in the mirror, that's where the problem lies. But we're so blinded by the fact that you owe me. I did this, my family was that, you owe me. No. We're looking at it as if someone owes us, but that's not what really is transpiring. It's not what's taking place. You've earned it. And if you look at it on that, in that vernacular, in that lens, it's different than someone owing you. When you've earned something, there's an admiration of respect that comes with it. But when someone owes you something, that's just the acceptance of what someone gives you. And we don't want to accept just what someone is giving us. We want to embrace what we've earned. There's so much that needs to be done in our own communities with our own self. Ain't no white man has anything to do with what we do. We have to put aside that white man thing. The white man. The white man. And I get tired of hearing that. I was exposed to the same white folk that you were exposed to. And I got through it. I'm not rich, but I live comfortably. I got educated. I educated myself. I didn't have nobody forcing me. I went to school. I got up in the morning and I dressed. I cleaned myself up and I go to school. And when I got to school, I paid attention. I didn't play. I didn't jibber jabber with the guy next to me. I didn't have time for that because I knew that I needed something that was going to help me in my future. Black futures don't look good because we're not doing anything to help our futures. You can dislike me for saying the truth, but this is the truth. And this is what upsets me when I see that we're black folk exterminating each other. And it's to the benefit of those who don't appreciate us. It is to the benefit we destroy ourselves to those who will oppose your benefiting from self-preservation, self-education, and doing things that are positive in your communities with your fellow black neighbor. It is hard for us to tear ourselves away from the Jim Crow mentality that we've been all taught so that we will divide and be conquered ourselves. It is difficult to, again, walk around and see the idealistic the idealistic habits that have plagued the black community for the last 250 years. We still live under the guise of the lynch law. And we entertain through our own actions the authority that others have over us. We entertain that authority. We give them the authority by our actions. Sometimes I think, we look at it and say our pride. It's not pride, it's stupidity. There's nothing prideful about being a tough guy in the presence of someone who has authority over you and you have no defense, but you got your pride. So you talk tough, you act bad, and you, being a bad actor, there's a reaction. And then, so therefore, you invoke the control that others, opposition, I'm always talking about opposition, have over you. Because the legislation of law is usually on the opposition's side. It's on their team. And so by them having the control and the law, they make the law, and I say they, opposition again, they make the law so that it angles itself around you. It ambles around you, and it sort of encompasses you. And if you're not careful when you confront it, you will get entangled. That's the legal strategy of the opposition. We're not dealing with that strategy well. Again, we get prideful when that strategy goes to work when we're exposed to it, when we come confronted with this legal strategy that has been angled around you. It's not something that encompasses everyone that comes in contact with it, but it's specifically designed to encompass you when it is applied, when you come in contact with it. It automatically, it's like an antibody attacking a germ. And you are the germ in that when you come in contact with that legality or that law, you now are under attack. And it's designed to do just that. Others, there are opposition folk who are immune to that enzyme action or that attack, I don't know, it's an antibody, but when it attacks, you are the germ in that antibody. There are others who are not germs to that. It's so amazing how they've set it up so that it only operates when you, black folk, a black man, a person of color, comes in contact with it. There are others, and I have examples. I mean, you look at the school shooting, where I think it was a white man that shot several people, and when the police tackled him, they just tackled him, put him down on the ground, put cuffs on him, put him in the back of the police car, took him to McDonald's. A young lady, black girl, 15 years old, was at a pool party, and she was just talking loud. And the police just body slammed her and put his knee in the middle of her back, and she got lots of bruises. The kid that did the killing at the school, he never got a mark on him. So when I talk about an antibody and a germ, opposition who are immune, you got to understand that it is a fervent, planned action that will always work because of its design. In order for us, black folk, to overcome that, we have to get a new mindset. We have to change what we say, how we say, and when we say. This is the only way to combat that antibody. If we do not change what we respond to at the time we come in contact with the antibody, then the senseless violence against our brothers and sisters is going to continue. And it's never going away. So when you look in the mirror, that's where it begins to stop. Now, a lot of people think that if I don't say something, no, brother. Trust me, I'm talking from experience. I'm not talking just to say, this came off a piece of paper I read. Let me tell you a story, to intervene here for a second. When you're standing on the corner, and you're about a half block away, and you see four figures on the corner. One is a white man, one is a black man, one is a white female, and the other has dark, straight black hair. Now, an assumption from afar, half a block away, remember? The assumption from afar is you see a white man, a black man, an Indian or a Spanish person, and a black woman. The assumption further goes, the black man is a nigger, the white man is a white man, the black woman is a nigger woman, and the person with the dark hair could be an Indian or Spanish. because they've got olive skin, or they could even be Arab. Those are assumptions that are made from afar. And everyone, including black folk, jump to those conclusions before they ever make contact with those images that I just described. And the reason that is because of programming. We are all programmed to recognize what we see. But what do we see? Now, let's fast forward. You're now standing right in front of these four figures. And so you talk to the white man, and he speaks Hungarian, or he's speaking Hebrew. Excuse me, I itch. So he's speaking Hebrew. Now, your assumptions were all wrong. The black man is speaking Jamaican. Your assumption now is all wrong. The black woman is speaking Creole. So your assumption is all wrong. Follow me now. And the woman with the dark hair is speaking Italian. So the idea that when you first saw the four figures at afar, they were this. But when you made contact, they became that. The same applies when we are confronted with opposition and control. The idea is that I don't have to hear, touch, or know who you are. When I see you, I've made a determination as to who you are. This is what goes on in this country. This is why the violence is escalated. And people, once they get, it's like a wild animal. Once he tears into the flesh of another animal, if he's that animal's prey, the instinct is to continue to devour. And we sometimes get in our wildest rise because we've made that assumption, and then we come in contact, we just motor right on through because we've already determined who we're dealing with, so we deal with them like we're supposed to deal with that person. We deal with blacks this way. We deal with this guy this way. So those assumptions are what drives a lot of the actions that most people take, and certainly the opposition. Opposition doesn't take time to realize who they're dealing with. Case in point, I remember a Florida state trooper pulled over a Miami police officer on the interstate some years ago. And the officer was white, the trooper was white, and this police officer was a black man. And he was a high-ranking black police officer. But the trooper didn't know who he was pulling over. However, the man was black. So case in point, he treated him with indignity because he was black, not because he was a black police officer. Had he known that it was a black police officer, his demeanor and his approach would have been different. And this is what changes us. We have to allow our humility to take over when we are confronted with opposition control. This will save lives, and it will assist us in being more appreciated. Now, I know that's a reach for some people. I ain't got to be appreciated by nobody because I'm who I am. And I tell you, this is the attitude that's got a lot of people gravestones. They got some nice gravestones. It is time for us to come to reality. We're black men. we're a descendant of kings and queens, and we have royal blood. But you can't exhibit royal blood with the behavior of what we're seeing in our society today. The young men that are flaunting their behind in public because someone, somewhere, once upon a time, told them it was cool. The definition of cool is being smart, energetic, knowledgeable, able, physically fit. You have all kinds of accolades that people will attach to you, and then they tag you, and you now have to act out what they tag you with. No man makes me. I am who I am. I know who I am. So thereby, when you say who you think I am, it's just a byproduct. You can say whatever you wish, but I know what the real deal is. And we've gotten away from knowing what the real deal is, and we're allowing people, opposition mainly, to narrate who we are individually. Black people have to come together. We need to stop mistreating our own. All this killing. That I've lived in the location where I lived for over 5 years. And in the 5 years that I've been here, 5 people have been shot dead in my vicinity. Just in my vicinity. And we're talking 2-3 blocks maybe in that vicinity. Not to mention the entire city where I live. But just in the vicinity where I live, 5 people have died. And it was senseless death. One person died because they were transgender. Just simply because they like to put on women's clothes. And that person's dead. Why are we doing this? Has anybody stopped to ask the question, who's pulling my strings? Someone told us we're bad. I'm a bad dude. I got to sell this product. No, dude ain't gonna mess with my money. Come on, man. That stuff is old. We need to get with the real program. The real program is finding some way to sustain your family over a long period of time and give you the dignity while you do it. Nobody bad anymore. You don't need to be bad to be recognized. All you need is the integrity and love of the ones that care and you care for. Everybody, you're gonna have some ups and downs. People do get in scrapes. But I can remember when, if you didn't like an idea, you hashed it out, or you discussed it, and you come to a conclusion, and you come to an understanding. I had an uncle once. I loved this man. He taught me so much. And he used to get his drink in him. He wouldn't drink, though, Monday through Friday. Friday night, Saturday, he load up. Sunday, not touch a drop, go to church, pray hard. But he was a man. And one of his philosophies was, to me, I remember this from 14, 15 years old, he used to tell me, boy, in all the things that you get when you get older, make sure you always get some understanding. Well, I think we've lost, as a black society in this country, these United States, as a collective, black people have lost some understanding. And I think that until we get it back, we're going to be running rampant and widespread, and we're going to be killing each other, and we're not understanding why. There is an evil at work. And if you take the time, you can see the evil. But a lot of us are what I call instant freaks. We want instant gratification. I want it now. I can't wait, man. Come on, man. We're in a hurry. Well, the Bible says there's a time for everything. There's a time for weeping. There's a time for laughing. There's a time for fun, games, and there's a time to be serious. We've weeped. And then we had our fun and games. It is time, black folk, to become serious. Because Donald Trump and the opposition, them people serious, man. Them people serious, man. They serious. And they're coming for you. And you can stand around and wear your breeches all on your hip and have your drawers showing, got your 40 in your hand, got your music playing loud, rolling your 6 bows and your 22s and your 24s. But the opposition is gearing up, man, and I'm going to tell you, if we're not careful, we're going to wind up in chains again. You can believe me what I say. So I made this video so that I can encourage people, please, no matter what part of the country or what part of the world you're in, make sure that you go to the polls and vote for a Democratic candidate so that we can try and get an angle on getting this country back to where it ought to be. I have a new slogan that I coined, and it's called PAGA, a little something I learned from Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has an MAGA, and he says that he wants to make America great again. Well, here I am saying to you all, my audience, PAGA means let's prove America great again. We'll talk.